So I deleted social media about 3 years ago already. And this video I just want to tell you about what it's actually like to live without social media as a Gen Z. And as I mentioned, as a Gen Z, you basically grow up with the internet and social media especially. So let me just get things straight. I had my first email account and was using the internet when I was basically 8. I had my first YouTube account when I was 12. I think with 13 I started to have Instagram, Facebook and Snapchat 1 or 2 years later. And this is actually a really young age to be exposed to all of this. I assume that younger generations actually are nowadays exposed way earlier. I don't know how I should feel about that, but basically back then I loved it actually. It was so great because on the one hand just super interesting. It was like this thing that never existed before there was, like, at least in my life, social media. It was fun. It was somehow a form to socialize very early on. It was just super interesting actually to do this. And it honestly really did not feel like a burden when I was 14, when I was 15. It felt like something fun, like an online community. So like an extension of your own community, so to speak, just on the World Wide Web. I actually loved Instagram back then because I was just like really into photography as a young teenager with my smartphone. It was like kind of fun. Snapchat back then was really cool because you were just sending friends stupid stuff all the time. Facebook was kind of, I don't know, like it was back then like already when I was a teenager not that cool anymore, but you could play like games, status updates, pages of people you like, etc. I kind of enjoyed it actually, and I did not think about it as a problem, but this somehow like changed when I was like 15, 16, because I more and more felt like it stopped to be fun in some way, and it started to really become the opposite of fun and just like making me feel unwell in some extent. I don't know, like if you can relate. I read really lots of studies about this as well, and they show that social media is really much linked to many mental health issues. Let me just look, I wrote many points down that I want to share with you guys. So after this initial while of thinking that this is so fun and cool and interesting, etc., I started to somehow feel every time I used social media, I felt kind of unwell. In my case, specifically, it was specifically more and more about Instagram, because this was just back then, and I think nowadays as well, one of the major social media sites. Everybody was on my group of friends, etc. I kind of felt unwell. On one hand, I was exposed to so many pictures that portray the life of others. I feel like I kind of sound like a parent or so, but you start to compare yourself with that, and you kind of, it's not like actively, I think like, oh, this guy's life is so great, I think mine is not, what a pity. No, it's like, it's subconsciously, when you're always exposed to the life of others, and the reality of social media is, of course, and this is nothing new, that people only post the good things, only the good sides of them. It's very rare to see that people actually share a bad day, share a tragic day, share a lazy day, but it's about the highlights, about the trips they take, it's about the great lifestyle they have, it's about the kind of things they achieve, the people they hang around with. Seeing this all the time made me kind of feel like, is my life like lacking? Am I not enough? Am I not doing the right things? Should I already have achieved more? If it's about fitness, for example, you see really unrealistic results of people that are jacked up on steroids, for example, from a really young age on, and you think like this is normal, this is really achievable. You see people that are stupidly rich, you see people that hang out with others all the time, you see people that basically live the life that many people want to live. And what I want to say is that I just noticed that I was more and more often feeling less good than I did before I opened the app, and this really got me to the point. It has been a really long time ago, so I have to like really think about it, but I really recall this a lot, that I knew back then as well that this is bullshit, of course, that this is just some sort of a FOMO, social comparison, etc., etc., but I just noticed that I felt unwell. And the other thing is that I also noticed that I was so like wasting lots of time on the social media platform. So because on the one hand, you're constantly checking something, and this idea of checking something all the time when opening your phone is really something that struck me quite a lot, because it annoyed me that I developed this behavior of opening this app, then opening that app, then checking this, then checking that. Every time I wake up in the morning, I go to bed, when I have a break or so, it kind of annoyed me that I developed this dopamine seeking behavior all the time. It just felt unhealthy to some extent or so. As well, the content I was seeing on social media, Instagram really much turned, I don't know, like, I don't want to say that everything was better back then, most certainly was not, but when I started using it, you only saw the posts of your friends, for example, and that was basically it, and there were not that many people on it. But now it's because, of course, Instagram and other social media platforms, Snapchat, for example, they all include basically the same features. They all have some form of shorts, of TikTokification, like short form content. They all have some forms of stories, status updates. They all have very strong algorithms that really much predict what you want to see. There's not a home feed, a classical home feed anymore that really has like a real physical end, so to speak. But after you've seen what you actually subscribe to, the algorithm will predict something that you basically are interested in as well. And all of that means that you're basically, that the party never ends. That basically, if you're not paying attention, then you're really trapped in this and you're wasting like so much time in a given session. All of this just goes to say, I noticed that I was wasting massive amount of time on social media, and it's not only one platform, but it's dozens of them. And besides that, what was really annoying was, it's not that like the media I consumed on social media was like really something that I would miss or something that was really of high importance or valuable or so. I couldn't remember 10 minutes after scrolling my phone, I didn't remember one post, one piece of short form content video whatsoever that I watched. So I thought like, hey, it's just content that I consume and instantly forget, which tells a lot about the actual value of that content. And the last thing that really also triggered me to actually give up social media was basically that I thought like, hey, this is some sort of parasocial digital behavior. I somehow feel like I'm kind of a critical guy when it comes to societal norms that seem a bit unhealthy or weird to me, and I'm very likely to also speak out about that. When something seems stupid, then I don't want to follow the trend. Then I don't want to do so as well. And the same thing was on, I don't know, I felt on social media, there was some sort of this social behavior that just seemed kind of weird to me, that actually that this is how things develop in society. It was like normal that you had to comment on a post of your friends. Otherwise, they thought of you as rude. Or if you didn't respond immediately to messages, then this is considered rude. If you posted a story on Instagram and did not include the tag of your friend or etc., then either you are rude or you feel like you're missing out if another person did not do this. I thought about that, man, 50 years ago, all of that didn't exist, and now we are like building our own weird digital rules about that just make everyone feel uncomfortable about it. And summa summarum, all of that in a nutshell, there were so many reasons also besides that. I just 3 years ago decided that I wanted to quit social media, that this is just not really a thing that benefits my life really much. And I really thought about it for a long time, but eventually I just took the leap and I deleted all social media platforms, and I also deleted many accounts and just threw off everything off my phone. I was kind of really skeptical before that because I somehow had a bit of anxiety that this was too much of a big step, that this maybe there was burning bridges, that I don't know, like this had negative outcomes for me. I was kind of afraid that I was just missing out on things actually. So I postponed it for a lot, but there was like this one evening I think where I was just so fed up and I thought like, hey, good, I'll just like delete everything. So that's what I did, deleted everything. And what should I say? So I was afraid that I was like kind of missing out on things, and yeah, I was. But the thing is that a big of a problem or not? I thought like I was missing out on important things in life, like things that people share when they go somewhere, when they, I don't know, like when there is something important, etc., etc. And also so much of the content that I consume, because I knew that most of it was actually a waste of time. But you know, like the thing is, it's like in a casino, like it's like playing like this one-armed bandit, or what it's called. Like, you know, like 19 out of 20 times you're gonna lose, but 1 in 20 times you actually win. And it's the same with social media content. Most of it is bullshit, of course, but sometimes sporadically there's something helpful that like benefits you. So it was really hard to give it up, and I was afraid of actually cutting back on that and missing out on important stuff. But the reality was that I was really glad that I did this, because I just had so much more free time and was not wasting my time that much consuming all of that stupid content that I was consuming previously. And it really felt so liberating to just, I don't know, whatever it was, to not waste my time on that shit anymore. Really, cannot really explain it and put it into words. Did not mean that I had to do so much more important things or so. It did not mean that I had to build 1,000 businesses, write my master thesis or whatever it is. It just meant that I had times for other things in life, and I had more time to do like real things in life, like things in the real world, which felt really nice. And talking about things, missing out on things that people share, they're kind of two sides of the coin. So on the one hand, yeah, I sometimes miss out on things people share, and they're also asking me, did you see my pictures? Did you see what I was sharing? And sometimes they react kind of sad or like kind of hurt when I say like, no, I didn't see anything. I told them repeated times that I don't use Instagram, for example, as well, but other story. And for example, I missed many vacation pictures of family members, of friends, etc. A friend of mine got married and posted pictures, and I missed all of that. I just found out in retrospective. So there are definitely some things that you're gonna miss. If it's really important, people are gonna tell me anyway. People are gonna show me pictures anyway. Yeah, I mean, I missed the pictures of that friend who got married, but a few weeks later we just met up in real life and he showed me the pictures in real life and told me everything about it. It was like kind of far better than just seeing it online. And this is actually the thing. I started to like kind of really much value more personal relationships more. This was not like an instant thing that happened or so, but I thought like, hey, social media kind of, and this is the thing about like those social weird rules that I was kind of criticizing. I felt like social media developed to some form of a new parasocial form of relationships, a new digital parasocial form of relationships. And it's not just an extension of real life relationships anymore, but it kind of exists as its own set of rules and relationships and like this space, which I kind of dislike because it wasn't just bringing any value for me anymore, and it did just like feel something that you do, that everybody does, that you shouldn't miss out on, that it's kind of weird to miss out on. I actually realized that when you're not on social media anymore, you basically do what people back then always did, and what is actually far more valuable to you is to actually talk to people more in real life instead of digitally and just commenting on a picture or liking a picture or so. And it's not an instant thing that happens, but it's rather a mindset shift what an actual relationship looks like. I don't know if this sounds like relatable to you, especially if you're like, for example, also Gen Z. Like, you can write down in the comments what your experiences are. That's just the way I felt. I was valuing real social interactions really much more, which I liked, and which I like still till this day, because this is actually what sticks and which will actually build memories and builds a strong relationship with people, and I really much like that. And the other thing about missing out was actually that I felt like, yeah, I was missing out on things, but besides like just some random marriage or vacation pictures that seemed interesting, I was missing out on the really unimportant things that I was really glad to miss out on. Actually, I followed so many people that I actually didn't care about that much and that didn't care about me, but you somehow see what they're up to, you somehow again compare yourself subconsciously a bit to them. For some people this is just interesting and not a problem, but I don't know, like I was kind of glad that to actually cut that out, because besides not wasting my time on like stupid content per se anymore, I actually also, if I'm actually close to someone and have a real relationship with someone, then I will not miss anything important about their lives in real life, because I hang out with them, I talk to them on a somewhat consistent basis. But all the people that I just know things about through social media and the internet, I noticed that these people are not really a part of my life, that those people are not really in my circle of people. And this sounds kind of harsh, but I just realized that lots of social media actually feels kind of fake. Fake is the word that actually describes it best. I don't want to demonize this, of course, and there's nothing intrinsically that I have against this or so. I just noticed that it just benefited me in general. So honestly, I feel really good. I don't feel isolated at all. Actually, the opposite. I felt like relationships got stronger after I decided to delete social media. I actually, and this might come as a surprise, but I downloaded some social media platforms again, because I thought, hey, maybe they seem useful now after I deleted them for such a long while. And the reality is that I downloaded Instagram because people just kept sending me like memes and things and said like, hey, I sent you this on Instagram. I said like, I don't have Instagram anymore. But anyways, Instagram, I don't know, absolutely boring. After 3 years of not using it, I don't know, I really don't care about it anymore. I have it on my phone, honestly, but I just don't use it. Really, and I'm really proud of that as well. It is on my phone, the icon is there, and I'm really not not tempted to use it because it really now intrinsically doesn't seem interesting to me, and there isn't something interesting to me because I deep in my heart know if I spend too much time on this, I just feel worse afterwards. And the same actually applies to the second candidate, and this is TikTok. I gave TikTok a try and I used it for this YouTube channel as well, because before I made these long form videos, I made lots of memes and I got the templates off of TikTok. And I gotta say that TikTok is to some extent the same as YouTube Shorts, and I dislike YouTube Short lots of the time, but TikTok is really the worst. So you can most certainly, there's so much helpful stuff on TikTok, without a doubt, and it develops like as a new search engine basically. But I cannot believe how much toxic shit there is on TikTok that really is not even through like subconscious FOMO or social comparison. There's so much explicit shit on TikTok. Like one day, like I remember I was just like scrolling and I thought like, hey, okay, maybe it's not that bad. I was scrolling looking at memes, and then suddenly there was like some video footage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and some soldier being like ripped into parts by a grenade. What the hell did I just see? Damn, why isn't there any filter here? I read about this on the internet a lot, and also this is really like the TikTok algorithm is really one of the worst because it throws in really explicitly toxic and hurtful stuff all the time about war, about violence, about suicide. I really dislike the TikTok algorithm, so I really decided to stop using it, and that's what I did. And this is really a cool thing that I developed as well, as this ability after 3 years now. So I come to a conclusion. After 3 years, it's awesome that I have now the ability to actually abstain from that. So I don't feel triggered by it to actually have to use it. I have the TikTok and Instagram apps on my phone because I use them for like some things sometimes, but I don't really feel urged to use them anymore, which is a great thing. So, and after 3 years, I feel like social media is definitely not the devil. I don't want to demonize it at all. It definitely has useful aspects and so on, and you can most certainly have benefits from that. The question is just, I noticed that this way of living and being so sucked into it and living this digital life was just not something for me. I'm really glad that I deleted them basically and stopped using them. My mental health has really improved a lot. Really significantly a lot, and if this is something you're struggling with, give it a try. It helped a ton. I'm just so much more mindful of my time. I really stopped wasting so much of my time, which is one of the best things you can actually do, because I feel like my time is precious. I want to spend my time on things that are actually important to me. All of this goes to say that this is not a cure for everything, of course. But for example, I think dopamine seeking behavior and this urge to just somehow get stimulated content-wise is somehow a human feature that we just have. It's just a human trait to somehow feel pleasant or just get entertained. This is by no means like now fixed in me. If it's not on social media, then sometimes this happens, for example, generally on the internet, on YouTube, for example, or on whatever it is. This is definitely not cured completely, but it's heavily reduced, which I'm really glad about. And I said that YouTube, yes, because YouTube for me is not classical social media. Of course, you can use it like that, and you have many social media aspects on YouTube, but the way I use YouTube, for example, is rather more like Netflix, but for niche things, so to speak. And I do YouTube videos, so what should I say? And of course, things like WhatsApp or so, or Telegram, these are things I text my parents or so. So I don't feel like this is a waste of time. I don't like texting that much as well. And I could make a separate video only about this whole the etiquette of texting, which really seem absurd to me, but that's another video. And yeah, so 3 years, I feel really much better. If you're struggling with this, I can encourage you to do the same, but you don't have to. You don't have to delete all social media platforms and sign off everywhere to achieve the same benefits. I think if you're struggling with it, really try to reduce it a lot and set up boundaries and identify what actually makes you feel unwell and what is actually toxic for you, and then cut that out and somehow start the learning process of what does you good and what does not do you good. And I think social media is just a part of our reality nowadays. But we can decide for ourselves whether we actually want to completely live in that reality, or whether we just want to use it as a tool that we use from time to time to do something that is important to us, instead of being sucked into social media platforms that are designed by big tech companies to just waste our time, use it for hours on end to sell our data and information to other companies and make money off of that. If you want to reduce your screen time as well generally, then I made this video right here about 6 apps that really help me to automatically reduce my screen time just like that. And maybe you want to give it a try and see whether this helps you with your screen time as well. Besides that, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video. Bye bye.